Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. They're located on Hines Street, right in downtown Knoxville. They've been there. How do you get a street named for you when your business? Well, you've been there 100 years. That's how. 101 years, actually. East Tennesseans have been turning to A.G. Hines Company. Well, face it, your granddaddy turned to them, your great-granddaddy turned to them for the best building supplies and tools that you can find anywhere in East Tennessee. Just a terrific company, terrific folks. The customer service is out of this world. When you've got a family and Gordon Hines and his kids are still over there every day running, when you've got that kind of pride in the business, it shows. That's how you get to be around for a century. A.G. Hines Company, folks, aghines.com to learn more. Trust me on that. If you've got any kind of home improvement project you're working on, that's the place to start. A.G. Hines Company. Okay, Tennessee opened SEC play 2-3, as I mentioned. Since then, they have won 5 straight games. Biggest difference has been their three-point shooting, of which Rick Barnes said yesterday, if we've got this graphic, I think we're taking better shots because I think we're moving the ball better, moving it quicker. Guys are being able to get set up to shoot the ball, and we're getting better looks at it. Is it as simple as that?
I think that's part of it. Now, it didn't happen against Texas, right?
Right.
But the last 2 games, I thought the ball movement was really good. I thought yesterday the only time they took a bad 3 was when they were running the clock down and they had to force one up with less than 5 seconds left. Otherwise, I thought they did a really nice job. Now, you're going to miss some open threes, right? So we know that's part of it. But I do think the ball movement and getting those open looks where they're comfortable in shooting them, I think that's helped.
Gentlemen, anything else that you look at and you say, well, this has also changed? I mean, you're talking about the 4-guard lineup has changed the ability to kick the thing out a little bit more. You got more spacing out there. Thoughts on anything else that's made a difference?
We got the defense scrambling a lot more than we usually do because we're, getting out on the break more, and as opposed to just running the offense that everybody's going to prepare for, and same thing Mark said about the 2 bigs in the paint as well. So it's a lot looser of an offense, and these guys are taking advantage of it. They play well, so they play well together, so they're moving the ball well and penetrating more just because of, I believe, that we're not as much of a half-court offensive team now. We're getting out on the break more.
Okay, good deal. Let me show you some numbers here. Let's compare those first 5 games to the last 5 games. You got the averages on the left for the first 5 and the averages on the right for the second 5. You can see the changes are up in most categories, but there are 4 that are really up. You're scoring 7 more points a game in your last. That's quite a bit over a 5-game stretch to average 7 more points a game. Your 3-point field goal percentage is up 8%. You've gone from 31.9% to 39.4% over these 5 games. Assists per game, obviously you're hitting your shots, your assists go up, but you're up more than 3 assists per game in that stretch. Made free throws, Mark, which you mentioned. You went from 12.6 in those first 5 SEC games. You're hitting about 5 more free throws per game. Anything else stand out to you about those? Anything stand out about those numbers in terms of a switch from the first 5 to the last 5? Obviously, if you can keep to that second column, you're going to be much happier down the stretch.
Yeah, I think they're getting. Josiah Jordan-James again is that guy that's making a difference. But to me, Kennedy Chandler, which is not shown on the stats, but I do think it leads on to the offensive side of the ball. He's just more in tune defensively. I think those first couple SEC games. What people don't understand is, like, when you're playing non-conference, the scouting is just different. When you get into league play, coaches and even players, they know your tendencies. And I think now you're seeing that Kennedy is making some adjustments about when to attack, what gaps to attack, moving around, moving the ball quicker. And so defensively, I think Kennedy's more locked in, which then ultimately affects this team offensively. And so I think some of it is just those guys getting a little bit more familiar with how the league goes.
Yeah, and I would also add in opponent. Tennessee is benefiting from a weaker opponent. That's not to take away from what Tennessee is doing, because I think Tennessee has created these opportunities. But the bigger test is coming, not against South Carolina, not against Texas A&M, but when you see Kentucky again at your place, which will help. When you see Auburn, those will be the biggest test for Tennessee.
Well, I think this week, and we'll talk about it, a road trip to Mississippi State.
Sure.
I mean, that's a team
tougher.
that's 0-4 in the SEC on the road and 5-0 at home. So that's going to be a test as well.
Yep.
Let's talk about perspective next. Last week it was a little rough on them, so I thought let's be nice. I'll try and go back and let's look at some positives, because when media or fans watch their team every game, and you're really not spending as much time, you can watch other games, but you're not as focused in on it as you are your own team. The flaws on the team you pull for or the team you cover seem huge. Well, let's compare Tennessee's flaws and Tennessee's strengths to other teams around the SEC, other teams in the nation. You do that and you start to realize, oh, maybe it's not as bad as I thought. Let's take a look at that next on the Sports Source.